Well, I thought I'd do one more part. I was only going to do two, but I think I'd throw in a few more things that I want to talk about when it comes to leadership. And the important part of leadership is that it's what horses need. And almost all problems with horses that people have are due directly or indirectly to poor leadership. If you have a nervous horse that's prone to spooking and bucking and all kinds of things like that, gets really nervous out on the trail, it's because it doesn't have a good leader. If you have a horse that's dangerous, it's not being respectful because it doesn't have a good leader. Almost everything comes down to leadership. And I said before, leadership alone is not going to fix anything. However, without leadership, you're going to have a hard time fixing anything at all. It's really a key ingredient. And I just want to throw a couple more stories in. Well, first off, go back to my first one. I talked about how it's been misrepresented so much by so many people. And quite honestly, I've seen so many bad examples that if I was to base my opinion of leadership on what I have seen other people doing, I wouldn't want anything to do with it either. I would be totally against it. However, I know the truth, and what I believe is a completely different thing than what a lot of people are passing off as leadership. Leadership is extremely important. It's essential. And after I've done this video, I'm going to put the topic to rest, sort of. I'm not going to do any more videos talking specifically about it, but it's an integral part of my horsemanship. So you're always going to see some form of leadership in my horsemanship at all times. So that said, this will be the last video dedicated specifically to the topic, but I thought I should talk about it because it is incredibly important, and without it, you're going to have problems. Okay, a couple of stories, analogies I'd like to make is anybody that has ever been around a person that is a really, really good leader in one way or another, you know how that makes you feel. You trust them implicitly. If they say, hey, let's go do such and such, you don't question it. You just go do it. You trust them to keep you safe. You trust their leadership. You trust their abilities. You feel good when you're around them. It's something that happens when you're with somebody that's a good leader. It makes you feel good. Women, you probably understand this. If you got a nice, big, strong man when you're in his arms, you feel completely safe. Everything is good. The world's a wonderful place, and nothing can hurt you. You're protected, all that good stuff. Well, that's how a horse feels when it has a good leader. A horse truly, truly needs a good leader. It gives them everything that they need emotionally to make them a stable, safe, respectful, relaxed, confident, calm horse. That's the importance of leadership, and that's how it makes them feel. It's a necessity. Like I said, going back to that quote one guy made, give them what they need, and they'll give you what you want. And they absolutely do need a good leader. That's not a question. They need good leadership. It's essential. And I want to quote a gentleman by the name of Ray Hunt. And if you don't know who Ray Hunt is, look him up. It's very important. He was a great horseman, recently deceased. Was still playing with horses into his 80s, I believe. He was one of the greats long before anything like natural horsemanship came along. He was practicing good horsemanship, and he learned from other guys that were around long before him, too. Like I said, good horsemanship is nothing new. It's not a fad. It's something that's been around and documented for hundreds of years, quite literally. Prior to that, I assume it existed, but nobody wrote it down. History wasn't documented well going back a long time, but I suspect good horsemanship has probably been around for thousands of years. So, that said, I want to quote Ray Hunt. He wasn't talking about leadership. He was talking about something entirely different, but he was talking about how people tolerate bad behavior in their horses. And he says, hey, you're the instructor, you're the teacher, who's taking care of this outfit? And I thought that last sentence was the most important one, is who's taking care of this outfit? It's a responsibility. You're taking care of it. And when you take care of it, if there's somebody taking care of the outfit, the horse feels a whole lot better about it. That's a given. The horse is going to feel better if it knows that somebody's taking care of everything. And if you go to if you got friends that are into biblical verses and stuff like that, there's a verse in the Bible that says God gave man dominion over all animals. Now that does not give you the right to bully him and boss him around and everything else. If you actually look up the definition of the word dominion, it's a responsibility. It's not a right. It's a responsibility. It's a very serious responsibility that you are in charge of looking after them. And that's what it's like to be a good leader to your horse. It's a responsibility on your behalf to look after that horse and to take care of it, to keep it safe. And, it will always be calm, confident, relaxed, and respectful if you are in charge of things. It's important. It's not a menial thing. So I'm going to put a wrap on that, to tie a few loose ends together, to talk about how it works with my horsemanship is, I've talked about relationship. Well, your relationship is whether or not you're the leader. And I talk about consistency. Always do things the same way. That makes you a good leader. I talk about follow through. And you see this big fellow, you notice how he stopped there? Because him and I have had a conversation before where I said, no, you ain't pushing me. And so he's being respectful now, even though he's one of the higher horses here. This is another good indication of a respectful horse. He's backing off. He's keeping his distance. He walked up and he stopped at a respectful distance. And I like that. Now that we've been rudely interrupted by this guy, okay, I'm going to give him a pat on the nose. He wants a treat, though. But there's some other really pretty horses here, too, we're going to take pictures of. So, yeah, right. Back to the wrapping things together. The consistency is important because if you always do things the same way, that makes a horse feel secure. It doesn't feel flustered and unsure about things and not knowing what's going on. And, it's important for the horse to have consistency. And part of that consistency is the follow through. So if you ask a horse to do something, make it do it. If you want it to move, you make it move. If you want it to back off, you make it back off. These are things, so there's no idle threats, and that helps with the consistency, because when you say something, the horse knows you mean business. And it's not about bullying or anything. It's simply following through. So you got your relationship, your consistency, your follow through, and I talk a lot about groundwork too. And the groundwork, it goes both ways. The groundwork helps establish your leadership in the early stages, and if you have good leadership, it makes your groundwork a whole lot easier. So take all these things, wrap them all together, do your groundwork, establish your leadership, and before you ever get on the horse, you're going to solve a lot of problems before you ever put a saddle on. So leadership, critical, important, be a good one. Okay, have a good day, folks.